All right, guys, we are so excited to have you here with us for this 7 Habits training, and congratulations. And the first thing I want you guys to do is just give yourselves a high five because you put yourself in this Zoom room. And it is in this room where you are going to learn things that maybe you've heard before, but you're going to see it and hear it in a different way, potentially, like we did when we went to the training we participated in. That's going to make all the difference. And the only person that can take credit for that is you because you said yes, right? And you're here today. So thank you for that, first of all, because these 7 habits truly can help you change your mind. And if you can change your mind and the way you think about things, you can change your life and help others around you. So this is an 8-week training. And it's all about the 7 habits that will help you change everything that you want different in your lives. Obviously, where we got to participate with this, along with the Smiths, was up at corporate when they asked people to raise their hands. They put it out to the executives and they said, hey, who wants to participate in this? Who's ready to take your leadership to the next level? And we immediately did. And it wasn't just for us. We had each one of you in our thoughts when we raised our hands because we want to be better for you, but we also wanted this information to be able to bring to you in a platform just like what we're doing today. So we're so grateful. Is there anything you want to say about that event quickly? Because this is 30 minutes, so we want to keep it nice and tight for you.
I want to just kind of summarize kind of what I took from this. And one, having read the book probably 25 to 26 years ago, and understanding that and I'll kind of paraphrase it this way, as I heard George Carlin one time said that one of the most impactful things you can experience is when you get something that's familiar presented to you in an unfamiliar way, or something that's common or that you've seen before, but it's presented in an unseen or uncommon way. And that's kind of how I would summarize this, because the 7 habits of highly effective people, which is what this training was based on, the original book from Stephen Covey, is taking common sense things but implementing it into our lives, but by allowing us to look at the actual paradigm of each of them. In other words, what is the central idea, the central thought? How do we take it and make it ours and then learn and grow from that? And as Marcy said, when we were invited up there, after we put in the application to do it, we were accepted. We were invited up there and we got a chance to do this with Chris and Sarah Smith. It was awesome to go through it. Two, it was awesome to go through it as a couple. And it was also really extremely, I would say, awesome on another level to go through it with Chris and Sarah, and then being able to download and debrief and kind of share common stories. And that's what led to this. So you guys are beneficiaries of this. And thank you, like Marcy said, thank you for raising your hand and being in this room.
Yes. All right. So if you do not have a screenshot of this yet, please make sure that you take a screenshot so that you can have what you need schedule wise for the next 7 weeks. Today, we are going to be doing an overview of the foundation, what we need to set first for you to be able to get the most out of the 7 habits as we go through it throughout the weeks. As you can see here, Chris and Sarah and Dondee and I are going to be taking turns sharing the different habits with you. Same Zoom link every single time. So just put it into your calendar right there. So you've got it saved in the calendar, same passcode so that you can be prepared and you don't have to go scrambling or searching for it each and every week. We will post it, but it's better if you take ownership and you put that in there. So the first thing that we have to really consider here is how we actually see things in the beginning. And the way we see things is called a paradigm. So this is like a mental map that started being created from your youth, from your childhood. And it's those maps that we use to interpret everything that we see around us. It's basically the whole world and how we see it. So it's very much like a pair of glasses, and it really affects the way we see things. Sometimes, like with my glasses, if they're dirty and it's all grimy, then what I see is not as clear and it's completely different than if I have them clean and everything is bright, right? And so depending on what glasses we're looking through will determine how clear or if we're really seeing what's in front of us, right? So sometimes these same glasses can become so familiar to us, the way that we are trained to look at something, that we forget that we're even wearing them, and that affects everything around us. So I love this quote by Stephen Covey. Each of us tends to think we see things as they are, that we're objective. But this is not the case. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. Think about that for a second. the world around you and the way that you see it, what if the way you're seeing something is not exactly right, but it's completely based off of some sort of belief or some sort of experience you had in the past, and so that's how you're seeing everything. But what if you could shift that paradigm so that you could see clearly that there are other ways of seeing what you're looking at, and that the way you're seeing it and the way that others might be seeing it aren't necessarily either one of them wrong, because there can be more than one way to see something. They can both be right. Have you ever, oh my gosh, that just puts like this whole like, holy cow into my spirit. Because I know there's been so many times in my life that I have been black and white on every single thing that I would look at, where in reality, there's all the different shades and not one of them is wrong. Now, what if you started looking at the world around you with that mindset and with that paradigm, instead of being black and white or basing everything on the history?
Makes a big difference.
Yeah. So the see, do, get, and jump in here anywhere you want to jump in here.
This is where, kind of think of a paradigm as your view from a mountaintop. And when you make the effort to get there, the things that go into your life to help create that, it's your view from the top. And sometimes, like Marci said, what if somebody is up there with you, your back and their back is together? You're looking one way, they're looking the other, and you're looking at what you're hearing, what they're seeing, and it looks nothing like what you're seeing. Well, then you realize you just have a different vantage point. And paradigms are your vantage point, but it's based on this see, do, get. What you see is the logical approach you take to this, and it's what your paradigm is based on, what you've seen, what you've experienced, what your vantage point is, and that will dictate your actions, therefore your practices, and then that will ultimately decide your results. So this entire approach, and it can't literally be more simplistic than this see, do, get. That's one of the things I love about this book. Even though it's a very long book, it's very simplistic in the way it was originally broken down. And this is an example of that.
Yeah. And so the example there is exactly what I was doing. It was my paradigm on a lot of things, is that for something to get done right, I had to do it myself. Right. And because I felt like the only way that something could be done right is if it was the way that I would do it. And, you know, I know a lot of that comes from my childhood. It comes from my teenage years and things that I experienced. And yet I'll have to tell you that when my dear husband here, whenever he hears me say, well, would you like to see how I would do it? Or would you like to know how I would have done that? I bet that's like fingernails going down the chalkboard, right? I mean, can you imagine having the paradigm that if something is going to get done right, I have to do it myself? Because what that ends up doing is that creates the feeling that I have to be doing everything all of the time, which limits how much I can do. And it also has me in a state of burnout a lot of the time. And so if I can shift my paradigm to remembering that there is more than one way to do something, and if someone does it different than the way that I would have done it, it doesn't mean it's wrong. Right? And if I allow other people to do things their way, it takes a lot of the responsibility off of me. I can delegate and I can let them. And it takes so much pressure off, and it opens up that time to me to be doing maybe some other things that I alone should be doing. So as we go through all of this, this is really just kind of to start this. So we're just at this point with you. Now, going back and watching the recording is going to be very helpful for you, because we are going to be going through these things quickly, but also so that you can slow down and start thinking about how you see things. What are some of the paradigms in your life that maybe if you shifted them, it could change everything for you? It could make you maybe a better partner. It could make you a better spouse, a better parent. Maybe it could make you a better business partner, and maybe it could make you a better leader.
Oh, yeah.
We know that it's going to for us as we implement these habits. So this is just where the possibilities start beginning. And that's why this is like the foundation before we even get into the habits. Okay. And so let me get rid of the stuff that's in front of us here. So your paradigms and how they can change. So as you start doing this evaluation and really look in front of the mirror, that's one of the things that we were challenged is like, what can you look at in yourself and see that maybe you could use some change? And this is kind of how we walk through doing that change using that see, do, get.
Yeah, this is also a great example to see from your own vantage point, where could you expand your leadership potential? But kind of to the point that Marcy was just saying, when you allow someone else to do something that you would have done in a very rigid, very strict way, when they get to the outcome or the result, you may look at it and go, wow, one, it didn't turn out all that bad. That was my initial expectation, which is why I want to maintain so much control. But it may turn out even better than the way you wanted it. And then go, wow, it's really interesting. So this is a very revealing process. And so in order to do that, sometimes we have to take the pressure off of one, being analytical and critical of ourselves, to kind of to what Marcy's point was about being better leaders, and reverse engineer this thing. So look at what are the results. We can start with the results and then go backward to the do, and then ultimately backward to the see to change the things we're looking at. So I love this reverse engineering approach.
Yeah, and it's so good because many of you are already well versed in seeing yourself in the place that you are going to be and then working your way backwards, right? And so on this, it's very similar to that, but we're looking at it as a paradigm shift instead of achieving that goal, right? So this is going to be how we're going to shift our paradigms that will eventually help you achieve that goal much quicker than you could in the past. So it's easier to do that backwards work than trying to start just and move forward. So going with the get, what current result would I like to change and why? So what is something in your life that you want changed, right? So a couple examples here is I'm not adapting the way I work to keep up with the latest technology. Maybe you're not using social media. Maybe you're not using artificial intelligence, AI, chat GPT, all those kinds of things. And maybe your paradigm from your result is that I'm not at my target weight and it's frustrating. Maybe it's a personal thing there and not a work thing. So you'll see that there's examples for work and there's also examples for personal as we go through this. So this is the current result that you have in your life. And then what did you do to get where you are? So what habits and behaviors contribute or contributed to that result? I'm doing things the way they've always been done. Okay. Put an emoji in the comments if this is something that you've been stuck on, that you just do what is regular for you. And maybe you just let your subconscious dictate the things that you do a lot of the time because it's what's familiar, it's what you're used to, that sort of thing, right? Because I'll tell you that we got stuck there. And we're changing that ourselves. You're going to be seeing some changes in Team Freedom Reigns and how we do some stuff. Or how about in the personal one, I put off exercising or changing my diet. Can you see how what you did in these examples got you the result that we talked about in the get? And then what you see or what you think, what you believe. What do I think or believe that drives those habits and behaviors? The example is, it's not worth changing and trying to follow trends that might soon be out of date. What I've always done has worked fine. And on the personal side, I don't have time to exercise or plan my meals. Can you see how the C portion of this sets you up to get what you have gotten? It's that simple, guys. It's hard work to get yourself, shifting and getting back on track. But it's that simple in that, what you believe ends up in what you get. Because what you believe and what you think and how you feel about something leads to what you do. So the shift, how do I need to think or believe differently to get to the new result I want? So this is where the change needs to happen. I need to believe there are new and better ways to do my work. I need to shift to the idea that because hitting my target weight is a high priority, I need to protect time for it. So that is the shift in the paradigm from what you see initially to the shift.
And this right here is kind of the most revealing part of this entire exercise, especially if you're feeling a little anxiety or discomfort or trepidation. That means you're not wanting to change. That's kind of your body's signal that you want to hold on. That should also be your reasoning to acknowledge that this is the greatest indicator that change is necessary, especially if it's making you uncomfortable, because all growth happens outside your comfort zone. And right there, the shift, whether you do it or not, and this is in full transparency, this right here, this part is where people either make it or break it. The people that power through and trust in the process, trust in, and this is, and also let me just talk about trust. This is a sacred circle of trust. What happens here is given in the stories that we're going to be sharing with each other and teaching you and being transparent. This is a trusting situation. This is a sacred space. So, but give yourself the opportunity, give yourself permission to feel the discomfort, analyze it, trust in the shift, and do it. Because on the other side, you'll go, oh my gosh. And then it gets easier each and every time, but also be prepared to, as we go through this process and as you learn and grow, it's a constant repetition. And so, but right here, the shift, if you're feeling uncomfortable, that's probably the greatest sign that change is necessary.
Yes. So please make sure that you take a screenshot of this screen, because you will be using these questions and this paradigm shift as part of your homework today. Okay. So take a picture here. I'm going to give you a second.
I love your perfect.
Thanks. I've also been gone for the past 5 days, guys. So, all right, moving forward. So the 7 Habits Maturity Continuum, this is the layout of why the habits are in the order that they need to be in for it to be fully effective, okay? So we're going to be growing with the 7 habits, and starting with down at the bottom of the circle here where you see dependence. This is where you rely on others. You know, sometimes that's okay. Maybe when you're first learning something, maybe brand new consultants, it's okay for them to rely on the person that brought them in as their leader, right? Because they don't know how to do things. So dependence in the beginning is okay on anything, because you need to learn and grow, right?
It's part of it.
Exactly. And so the first 3 habits are all about you. These are the habits that are going to help you become. They're going to help you mature and help you become who you need to be for your own private victory, because this is the goal of habits 1, 2, and 3. This is about being effective, okay?
Yes.
So in the book that we have, I'm going to be taking photos of these, and I'm going to be adding these into the Telegram group as well. So what it says about what is effectiveness: to get the results you want today in a way that allows you to get even better results in the future. So, and also to respond to the self-reflection questions about how you want to be more effective. So those questions are going to be in the Telegram group, because the reason why we want to go through these 7 habits and the reason why we want to grow is because it's not so that we can just say, hey, we were in an 8-week training, it was awesome, and you know, I learned a couple things. No, it's so that you can become who you need to be, so that you can be more effective in everything that you do, and how you can help other people be more effective too. So the 7 habits promises: by living the 7 habits, you will become profoundly more effective in the things that matter most to you in your work and personal life. Now, nowhere does it say there that it will be perfect, because life is not perfect ever, right? But becoming more effective means that by implementing these habits, you will be able to get more out of what you are doing and how you are living and who you are being than you can without them. Right? So this is about breakthrough for you. Anything you want to add in there?
Just focus on and give yourself permission, and don't even try to be perfect. It's not about perfection. It's about effective. And if you think about the title of the book, It's the 7 habits of highly effective people, not 7 habits of the best leaders, not 7 habits of the most influential. It's effective. And that's when after it was described to us why that word is so powerful, because it affects when you are effective, you are moving in a positive direction in all aspects, not for perfection, but influence.
Yes. And then right there in the middle of the continuum, you see independence. So this is where, okay, you've learned who you are, what you need to do for yourself, and how you've grown, right? But you can only go so far by yourself. And so after you've become more independent, now you need to be really focusing on habits 4 through 6 that include other people. These are the habits that help you work with others in ways that lead to synergy so that you get more out of what you do together than what you could ever do on your own, okay? And so mastering these habits helps you lead to a public victory, but it's not just you that gets the victory, it's the team that gets the victory.
It's the most important part, is the team victory.
Absolutely. And then interdependence, this is where you're achieving more together, right? So, I mean, a lot of the times with LifeVantage, we will talk about how, yes, you can be a customer gatherer, and we absolutely love our customers, right? And you can get paid really, really well gathering customers now. Yet, you can only be so effective in getting our products that change people's lives out to the masses by yourself. But with a team, when you bring consultants into your business, that's when you can become more effective in sharing our opportunity and the products, because you can achieve more as a team and together, right? And then after you've got the interdependence, you've got a great team. And actually, I wouldn't even say after. Let's remove that word entirely. While you're working on all of this, I would say one of the most important habits is habit number 7, which is the habit, if you can see there, it goes all the way around the whole circle of continuum. And this is the one that holds everything together, and it's you. This is where you're taking care of yourself. You're prioritizing time to make sure that you are well in your mind, body, and spirit, because this is what enables you to take care of everything else. And so I love that they include this as part of the 7 habits, because literally, if you have an empty cup, you can't pour from it, right? So this is going to help you be full in your life as well.
Yep, one thing before we move on. And so about this meaningful change, it starts from the inside out. Think of, and here in America, we have team sports. And for people that follow sports, every time, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, there's always a championship game or series at the end of the season, and there's always a winning team. And what you will, whether it's in the locker room when they're talking about, pouring champagne over each other, what you will always find in these scenarios is everyone is in this interdependence situation. Yes, they've got good coaches. Yes, they've got great players. Yes, they've got a good game plan. But there's also all of those things, and losers that never even make it into the playoffs. It's not a matter of the coaches or the game plan or the individual players. It's the team chemistry. Because once they are interdependent of one another, and it gets to the point like subconscious, where they know where each other are, whether it's 11 players on a football field, 9 players on a baseball diamond, or 5 players on a basketball court, when they all know what they're there to do and they're all relying on each other, that's the greatest possibility, assuming they've got good coaches and a game plan, to hoist that trophy for that public celebration, but that everybody benefits from. And this is interesting because back the original dream team in USA basketball, when they went from amateur players to professionals, they took the best of the best in the NBA and they put them together, and they were being beaten by amateur players because they had all stars, but they were all acting as individuals. They were not acting as a team. And it was interesting to see the best players in the world be beaten by amateur players that were working as a team. So this is critical. The interdependence and the team celebration is so critically important. And then everybody is benefited from that. But that's that sharpen the saw, the thing around all of the 6 habits that make this all worthwhile.
Yeah, so good. Okay, so the principles of effectiveness. This is something that we're going to be using one principle with each habit every single week as we go through this. So principles are timeless, universal, self-evident, and in operation, whether we accept or understand them. Okay, they never change. So as I said, we're going to have one principle that's focused on with each habit. So the 7 habits are, first, being proactive. And the principle we're going to focus on is choice. Then begin with the end of mind. The principle is
purpose, or the why.
yes. And put first things first is the third habit, and the principle that we'll focus on is
focus and prioritization. Yeah.
This is good. Okay, if you guys
So
have a hard time calendaring or making sure that you're organized, or that you're getting everything in that's the most important, this is a habit that's going to be like, really? It's that simple and it's that important?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's going to blow your mind. And then habit number 4 is think win-win. So remember, the first 3 are all about you. These are the ones that you really need to focus on so that you can bring your best into the team part, right? Because think win-win is we want to make sure everybody's winning. It's not just a matter of you winning and someone else winning. We need to make sure that this is everyone. And that principle is
abundance,
right? There's enough for everyone. And then habit number 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is so big, guys. It's all about the communication, right? And the principle is
respect, mutual respect.
And then synergize. We know all about synergy with our LifeVantage products, right? So synergize is habit number 6. And the principle we'll focus on is
creative collaboration.
I love this, by the way. And this is where you can look at things and you can see that there's a lot of different ways that one thing can get done. So it's so good when you bring minds together. And then habit 7 is sharpen the saw, that one where you've got to take care of yourself. So the principle is
renewal and regeneration and advancement. It just, all worthwhile.
So these are the habits that we're going to be focusing on for the next 7 weeks and the principles that go along with them. So every single week, you're going to have a deep dive into the one habit and the one principle in the 30-minute sessions. So guys, we have about 4 minutes left here. And so we want to make sure that you understand what this poster is. This poster is also in the Telegram group already. You can put it into the file that you have for this class. You can print it out. It's as clear as I could get it and scanning it, because you can't find this anywhere other than purchasing it through this course. And we don't have access to the hard copies of it. So the 7 habits, it lists out what the habit is. And I'm looking on the left-hand side here. On the left-hand column, it's the habit. It talks about the common paradigm that most people have when it comes to being proactive. So on being proactive, this is just why things are, and there's not much I can do about it. Now, the shifted paradigm, the highly effective paradigm, is I have the power to choose my response. How powerful is that shift, right? And then it also has the effective practices that we'll be talking about each week as we go through the 7 habits. Now, on the middle here in the white, this is something that you're going to be utilizing as part of your homework each and every week. So your homework for this coming week before next Saturday is to answer the following questions and then use the screenshot. Remember when I said take a screenshot of the paradigm shift questions to start shifting your paradigms. So the 2 questions are at the top right of the white portion of the screen. They are, how do you want to become more effective in your professional life? And how you want to become more effective in your personal life. So you guys really wanted us to make sure that we aren't just focusing on personal, that we're focusing also on business, right? On your LifeVantage business. So this is where you're going to be able to make it personal and what you really want. So make sure that you fulfill this before next Saturday, and then also review the cards for habit 1. And then just like I said already, take a look at this poster and just really take it in and what you're going to be learning and how we're going to be focusing. So final question is, how do you want to be more effective? Because by identifying how you want to be more effective now, as we're laying the foundation before you get into the habits, is going to help you actually focus and work on that as we go through the next 7 weeks. Anything you want to add in here?
Yeah, and give both of these questions an equal shake. So if you feel like you're pretty good in your personal life and you're wanting to grow your business, don't forget to analyze your personal life and how you want to become more effective. Because one of the things you'll hear a lot in business is your team or your business will never be bigger than you. That's the personal thing that you bring to the equation. So don't gloss over either one of these. Take the time necessary with each of these habits to answer each of these questions. And in doing so, you'll have the maximum amount of results at the end and get ultimately more of the results that you're looking for once you understand how to use what these habits are, how to utilize them, and how to shift in how you may initially look at it.
Fantastic. All right. So that's our 30 minutes, guys. Next week on the 16th, Dondee and I will dive into habit number 1, proactive, being proactive. So let me stop this recording now.